In Governor Murphy's State of the Union address this year, one interesting new initiative he announced was the focus on generative artificial intelligence in all sectors of our state, including public schools. Calling it the AI moonshot, Governor Murphy charged our state to serve as a catalyst to bring innovators and leaders together to invest in research and development to pioneer AI breakthroughs, with New Jersey as the leader in this arena. Today, we are fortunate enough to have two leading AI innovators in the field of public education here with us today. It is my pleasure to briefly introduce them to you, but more detailed background information is in your digital folder. Laurence Cocco is currently the digital learning consultant specializing in the designing and implementation of 21st century learning strategies. Formerly the Director of Educational Technology for the New Jersey Department of Education, Larry has been the state and national leader in the field of artificial intelligence in the context of our schools. He has served on the board of the State Educational Technology Directors Association and has been recognized for his important contributions to this field in multiple occasions. Joining Dr. Cocco is Dr. Barry Haines. Dr. Haines is a retired school administrator, having served in several roles of superintendent, director of curriculum and instruction, principal, director of technology, and teacher of educational technology. Dr. Haines frequently speaks on the topic of AI in K-12 education and also serves as an e-mentor and instructor for the New Jersey Excel program. He has also taught multimedia, technology, and institutional change at the higher education level. Please join me in welcoming our speakers.
Is it this one? Oh, that's pretty good. Thank you for that great introduction. I think when Deb first invited us to speak, she said this was an easy spot to fill. And I'm thinking, all the wonderful, amazing presentations that went before this, it's pretty humbling. I'm going to take a second to make sure that this technology works. That's always good. And make sure that the sound works. So that's HDMI in. Oh, here we go. And good. Just want to check sound. Thank you.
Just writing the...
Brilliant. We are good to go. Okay. So the original title of this presentation was AI Pitfalls and Potentials. And as Larry and I looked at this, I think most of the audience is pretty aware of the pitfalls, right? We talk about AI misinformation and hallucinations and bias and plagiarism and copyright and ownership. There are a lot of pitfalls that I think we could speak about forever. But I think we wanted to kind of re-engineer this and say, let's talk about the potentials. What can we use AI for in education? So our goal for the short segment we have you for is to talk about some discussions, have you turn to a partner, and then show you some good examples of student use and use student voice. So here's the first thing that I'd like you to do. Can you please, if you haven't already, turn to a person next to you, introduce yourselves in a second. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk. Hold on, hold on. You're already into this. This is so great. Going to give you 2 minutes to talk. And here's what you're going to talk about. AI in your life. And that could be one of two different arenas. It could be in your personal life. You could be using AI for travel tips or recipes and meal planning, for health, wellness, fitness, for gardening. Anything like that's fair game. Then I want you to think about at your work, because I know many of you as administrators in your district use it for icebreakers, for meetings, for agenda building, or, as the lawyers love, responding appropriately to an inflammatory email. Okay, so you have 2 minutes to turn to a partner and talk. I'm going to gather 3 ideas from the room in a minute. Go. Okay, welcome back. Is this on? Welcome back. How do you turn this one? Test. Oh, here we go. Testing, testing. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's okay. I got it. Welcome back, everybody. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Yes, we all develop administrator voices, right? Inside and outside. So I hate to break this up, because as I was listening around the room, I saw people starting to charge money for their AI expertise and different workshops. I mean, you guys, entrepreneurs throughout the room, you're already way into it and teaching each other. And it was so heartwarming. It was great. So I will give it away that, well, before we go on, today Larry and I are really going to talk about generative AI, but really text and English language arts and how AI can improve your writing skills. Some of those skills you were probably talking about. We want to confine some of the use that we could talk about really to that kind of silo. I will tell you that the opening exercise was generated by AI, not surprisingly, right? So a couple of days ago, I thought, how can I engage a room full of great administrators in a discussion about AI? It did require a bit of prompt engineering. This is the prompt, and I do want you to read this because I want to deconstruct this in a minute as a little bit of education. Yeah, I'll give you a second to read the prompt that I put into AI. Yeah, the last sentence always gets people, right? There's a lot of research that says if you appeal to AI's emotional intelligence, you'll get a better response. So I'll reward you. I'll give you $100. I'll give you $10, right? You can use a carrot or a stick on the AI, and it might produce a slightly better response. I put this up there, though, because it did require a thought partnership. I put the prompt in, didn't get what I wanted, had to talk back and forth, as we do with AI, to get a better prompt, and came up with my own voice and that prompt that I used with all of you, which seemed to be pretty effective. When we talk about prompt engineering in our classrooms, Microsoft put out some really good tools. This is one of them. When you think about the elements of a good prompt, some of the things that we teach our students or we learn about, they include telling the prompt or the AI who it is, what their role is, the objective in green, the audience. By the way, you will have these slides to take home if you'd like to take these back to your district and continue that great turnkey training that I already saw in here. The context, what does the tool need to know, and the boundaries. You set your direction and limitation. So when I go back and look at the prompt that I used, I defined its role. I defined the boundaries. I defined the output that I wanted. I told it who the audience was, and I told it my expectations for it. And then we started that dialogue going back and forth. Today we're going to talk a little bit about that, the prompt and the example, federal and state guidelines, which Larry will talk about, a guidance for your own district AI committee, because I think we're all thirsting for that. What kind of guidance do we give a good committee set up in our district for AI as a vision for the future of AI in our district? And then my favorite, student examples and voices and questions and answers. So I'll turn this over to Larry for a couple minutes to talk about the status of legislature of AI in our district. There you go. Larry, all yours.
Thanks, Barry, and thank you everyone for being here today. I know how difficult the job is that you're all doing, and I just want to say I have the utmost respect for educators today. I mean, it's such a challenging job, and I want to thank you for being part of today. This is a quote from Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. I think it kind of encapsulates, overall, that we don't want to let AI happen to us. We want to be part of how to develop that for the betterment of our citizens. We want to make sure that it doesn't, the train doesn't roll over us. We want to be part of the development of that. And a quote from Governor Murphy. The future of generative AI has yet to be written. We can be the author. So again, he's talking about how we have to be proactive and how we need to take the lead on AI. So it's a good vision for the state of New Jersey, a bold vision. Just real quickly, I'm going to talk about the federal guidance that's available and the state guidance, and we're not going to review it all because we don't have really a lot of time to do that. But this will be available to you, like Barry said. There he is. And you'll be able to take this back to your committees and review it. My favorite here is Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Teaching and Learning. This is from the Office of Ed Tech in the U.S. Department of Education. And just one comment about it, their number one recommendation is to keep humans involved in the process. Always make sure that you have a human checking the results and making sure that the hallucinations that Barry talked about and the other pitfalls of AI don't get loose. And then there's the White House Executive Order and the Blueprint for AI Bill of Rights. You can review that at your leisure. 7 states have put out AI guidance for K-12 and education. My favorite here is Ohio. It's unfortunately the longest, and it's about 81 pages, but it's a very comprehensive toolkit on how to develop policy and how to get resources to teachers and administrators in your school. So I would recommend, if you're going to look at one, that would be the one to review. Moving quickly. He told me I had 2 minutes. So what we did is there is a review of guidance by Digital Promise, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, where they reviewed all the 7 states, and this was just released a few weeks ago. And this is a very good document, and they state in the document that they used AI in the analysis, but that they developed their own final recommendations, as human beings, thank goodness. And once I saw that this was out, I thought, well, this is a great exercise for AI. So what I did is I gave ChatGPT the job to do a summary of those 7 documents also. And I gave it a prompt, and I included, why won't it? Oh, there it is. And I included links to all of the documents to make sure it got the correct information. I didn't want it, going out and making stuff up like it tends to. And I got replies that mimicked, I used in the prompt, mimicking the structure of the Digital Promise to try to get, a comparison. And I also, oh, by the way, I used ChatGPT 3.5 at first, and it would not accept the prompt. So I had to use 4.0 or Bing, and that worked. And then I gave it to Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, and I gave it the same exact prompt. And for some reason, it gave me the same 4 parameters. Talks about the common themes, but it also gave me examples of how AI is being used in K-12 education. It was like it thought there was extra credit. I don't know. but it also gave me 7 opportunities for using AI, which again mimicked the Digital Promise document, and the risks for AI, as well as recommendations for school districts. So it would be interesting for your AI committee to review these 3 documents and see what the recommendations are. And also in the additional resources at the end of the presentation that, again, will be available to you, I did a 4-slide summary of the differences between the 3 documents. I'm not going to take the time to do it now, but it's available for you for further inspection. And the one thing I noticed that was really different between the Digital Promise human-generated summary and the AI-generated summaries is that the Digital Promise summary had as their first theme that it was most important for workforce development to make sure that we had our students and educators facile in AI literacy, to make sure that AI literacy is a priority, because they said all of the jobs of the future will require the ability to use AI. And that was the one big difference I noticed between the 3 documents, just throwing that out there. So here's a common summary priorities across all of them. Again, AI literacy for educators and students, human-centered, responsible, ethical use of AI technologies, again, going back to the Office of Educational Technology Guidance, and professional development for educators, it's right up there at the top, parent involvement, equity of access, data privacy, security, safety, of course, and to constantly monitor and evaluate AI use. We're not going to solve AI today. We're not going to figure it all out in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be an ongoing process. AI is evolving very rapidly, and we have to stay with it. If you don't have an AI committee in your district, I would recommend you do so, and I would recommend it's a standing committee, that it's just going to keep doing the job of monitoring the use of AI, monitoring new developments, monitoring how it's being used in your district, and making sure that you're evolving along with it. There is New Jersey AI guidance from the state. There's state employees guidance because of the governor's executive order. And there's a link in here I'm not going to click on. It's an 8-minute video that the New Jersey Office of Innovation put out. Beth Novak, she's the first chief AI strategist, and she narrates this video. It's a very good primer on what AI is and how to use it. So if you have the time, I would suggest you watch this 8-minute video, and it would be great for your parents even, also, and administrators and others. And AI Moonshot, that was mentioned back in a legislative session, that link takes you to the announcement of Beth being the first chief AI strategist. And that is it. Did I do it in under 5 minutes?
You do great.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Okay. A lot of pressure. Thank you, folks. We'll be here during lunch, so if you want to talk more about any of this stuff, we'll be around.
As I'm used to as a teacher, right? Polite golf applause would be great. So let's go back to the beginning. I would like to go around the room and ask for 3 examples of how you, either in your personal life or as an administrator, are currently using AI. Just 3 examples from the room. Yes, please.
So I'm a supervisor for multilingual learners, and this summer the NJDOE adopted a Chapter 15 code adoption, which was it's excellent, right? Like there's a lot of equity that needs to be done throughout the department. But in equity, you have to translate, and nothing's worse than Google Translate.
Yep, agreed.
And so, as someone who loves to write, I fought the idea of AI a lot because I'm scared that students are really losing the ability to write,
Yep.
develop ideas, grammar.
We're getting you a mic, by the way, because your idea, it's so great. You're articulating so well. Just give us a second.
Do you want me
Thank
to start
you.
from the top?
Yeah. I think from where you said Google Translate isn't the best, so
Yeah,
you're
so
doing.
Google Translate is
Go
not
ahead.
great, and I've never been a huge fan of AI. I was scared that my students were going to lose the ability to write, and if I'm teaching English from the beginning, and you have AI, I was just scared that we weren't going to be able to construct ideas and understand the phonetics, the semantics. But I had to cave when it came to equity throughout the department. Our students' parents need to be communicated. When we do intake, we need to translate math tests, reading tests to really get to know the student.
Yep.
Because I don't know how you're doing in math because I don't have a test in your native language. So we had to go the AI route. I did a deep dive on the best ones out there. And it's opened a huge window of getting to know the student at intake instead of finding out a couple
Nice.
months later, because now we've been able to construct tests using AI in the student's native language.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again. I'll take 2 more in a second. I said I wouldn't do this, but I'll go ahead and do this. So I'm about to travel to Nepal to take up a position in education there, and it kind of scares me to death that I don't know the language natively. They put out AI translators now, so I have one. And in my current position, I'm an interim AP principal at Randolph High School. And we have Spanish language speaking students who I wish I could communicate more with. This is not a product promotion, but we bought 3 things called Pocket Talks, and they're AI in your hand. They're kind of stigma right in front of a classroom. It's not what you want to use. But if you're talking to an individual student and just want to have a conversation, not a bad solution. It's pretty cool. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to share, we purchased those.
Yep.
And I think it's important with the increased number of multi-language learners
Yes.
in our districts that we also support our support staff.
Yes.
And so we have seen great success with Pocket Talk in a child study team meeting,
Yeah, awesome.
in the main office, in
Attendance
guidance,
office, likewise.
registration. So there's a lot of good resources
Yep.
that we need to be culturally responsive to that
Yep.
and be thinking about the growing needs of our students. In my district, we just hit 1,000 multi-language learners. We were at 300 when I came there 7 years ago.
Agreed.
So great tool. And I don't work for the company, but it's just, we've seen it help all the other people that make learning work in a school.
Yeah, and thank you for the testament. So I said I'd go back to just language. I kind of break my rule, but good testimony from how AI is actually helping and improving our educational environments. Ma'am, go ahead.
So we're all asked to do a ton of surveys in schools, whether it's the culture survey
you take what the results are and plop them into AI.
Nice.
Or ChatGPT or Bing or
Right.
whatever you're using, or Claude. I don't know if it's on. But in any
That's-
event, and ask it to give you patterns and trends.
Yes.
You immediately get patterns and trends.
Prioritize trend.
Drill down by asking it further questions. It's amazing.
Right. So awesome, and I would like to summarize that. That was, again, very well stated. Taking data that you have, feeding it in, asking it to prioritize and look for trends, a great use. Yes, sir.
Grant writing.
Grant write. Oh, I love this idea. All the hours I used to spend on it. Thank you. 2 words made the room. That's your takeaway for the day, people. That's right. That's right. If you were looking for a door prize, there it is. That was good. Okay. Going to move on. We could spend a long time doing this because there are a lot of great solutions and examples of AI being used in education.
Can I make
Sir,
one point?
One more. Go ahead.
So when I was asking ChatGPT and Copilot to summarize the documents, I also, at the end of the process, asked them to summarize the summaries. They couldn't handle that. They could not, neither of them could. So what I found in my using ChatGPT and Copilot is that, they handled those tasks very well, where you ask them to, summarize documents and give analyses of a document or a series of documents. But if you try to take it to the next level, maybe I'm not good enough at prompt engineering.
So
could very well
we'll
be
talk
it,
about
but
this, right?
it was
We'll have a
difficult.
little workshop after this today.
Okay,
There's
got it.
re-engineer some of the prompts. This is good. So the next 3 screens, I'm going to give you examples to take back to your AI committee and to think about in your district. They have to deal with, because the state doesn't have guidance yet, and because we probably are not going to get policy guidance from Strauss-Esme, right now it's falling back to our districts. So student handbook, code of conduct, and syllabi. So the student handbook, this is an example from Dallas ISD. Again, these are linked in the presentation. This is a student code of conduct example. This is from Edmonds, Washington. And then locally, the responsible use of AI in Hillsborough, I believe this was from their student handbook also. And then from Hunterdon Central Regional, this is a syllabus that had AI responsibility embedded into it. These, I think, are good discussion starters for those AI committees in your own district to build this similar kinds of documents. So I'm going to move on now, and my thank you to Herb Paluzzo in the room from East Brunswick. Thank you very much. Shout out. Who in East Brunswick did some of this work and has an AI committee. I put links to 3 different districts in here that currently have AI committees that are kind of leading in the front. This was a student survey that Herb put out. You all generated some awesome ideas of how we as adults are using AI in our personal lives and our professional lives. When you ask students how they use it, you might get answers like this. This is from an 8th grade survey from East Brunswick. I think we should be able to use AI. It can provide explanations. We should be allowed to use AI during class. I thought this was interesting when the teachers, students, when you really talk to them and have this conversation, they're a little timid about this because all they've heard also are plagiarism, trustworthiness, copyright issues. They're timid to even convey that they are using it or want to use it unless they have models in the classroom and good prompt instruction. And a third one, I think AI will be primarily used during class like English, where people are required to come up with ideas and stories. There is definitely a recognition in our student population that this is an idea generator, that this can help them in their writing prompts. And so I'm going to give you 2 examples moving forward. So student voice number 2. Amanda Bickersdorf is an amazing person. She runs an organization called AI for Education. And last week she did a webinar with students to capture a student voice. You're going to hear 2 student voices in the next couple of minutes. This first one is a first-year freshman at Yale student talking about how he uses AI at Yale. And the second one you'll hear is a high school student in Florida talking about how she uses it in her high school curriculum.
Lots of great ways to use AI in a responsible manner, and that's something that I really try to encourage when I speak with other students and talk with faculty about how students are using AI. So a great way that I use it is, for example, I develop a piece of writing and then I put it into a tool like ChatGPT and say, can you please give me a critique of this writing on the style of voice or the style of writing, the voice, the flow, cohesion, structure, things of that nature. And then it's able to sort of give me some really great suggestions that I then go and take and implement. Another great way I've used it is by inputting my study material into it. So I've, for example, I had a cognitive science midterm last semester, and I went and put all my material there. I said, please generate short answer questions for me and grade my answer 1 through 5, which was the format of the exam. And then it developed original questions, right? And I was able to have a really interactive and dynamic conversation with AI. And it was a really helpful way to help me study. I didn't use that as my main study. I didn't use that as the only study tool, but I think it really complemented the other tools I was using, such as active recall and some other strategies as well.
That's great. And I think that I always love when I see like tools around, you're using it for your own feedback because I mean, you're in college, right? You're at Yale, and so I'm sure you have support, but you're in this world now where you're no longer in a high school and you're getting all this support, right? And so studying really is left to your own devices. And so I remember that moment. So the fact that you're using these tools to partner around a study aid is really great. And I think that, how did you do on your test?
I ended up doing really well. Was very happy with how it went.
Okay, I'm going to pause there just for a second. Imagine your AP students in your classes using AI as a study guide. I've talked to a couple of those AP classes, and some of them are already doing it. But could we raise the bar by providing them with good models and prompting exercises of how to do it even better so they can use AI for study guides? Just a takeaway.
Good. I have no doubt, but that is fun. Okay, awesome. And then Anna, same question to you. So how do you use AI in your own practice?
High school Florida student.
So yeah, very similar to Nicholas. I try to be very cautious with the line because obviously there's a huge conversation about the academic integrity of that. And that is something very important to me, but I do view AI as a super valuable tool. So I do very similar things, like I insert my notes and say, hey, could you please generate some multiple choice questions for me? Like, it's a great studying tool. I also, as I mentioned before, I love to write, like creative writing. So whenever I'm trying to, there's a sentence that's not flowing quite right, I'm like, hey, what's up with the syntax? Can you give me feedback here? The structure, the synonyms, and it's great for that as well. I also think it's really great for for summarizing large chunks of work, because you're in class and you're taking all these notes and you're like, okay, what did I write? I have so much of everything. So it's really great to just really consolidate your notes and really get to the key important stuff. So yeah, that's how I use it.
And did you well, we'll come back to this question, but I'll come back to Nick too. But we had a question from the audience about how did you learn how to prompt? Anna.
Okay, so if there was one takeaway by this short video, I think the answer from the student from Yale is pretty insightful. How did he learn how to prompt? Did it happen at his high school? Did it happen at Yale? Where did he learn these skills?
Did you just do it through trial and error? Did you get support from your school, or were you doing it on your own?
It was trial and error, really. And then you find the more specific you are, that's kind of how I realized, okay, that's where I need to kind of direct it towards. Because again, it's a tool, it's not perfect. But I did find that it really did help once through trial and error.
That's great. And Nick, just before I go to Pranava, how did you take any classes, or you just did it by kind of figuring it out?
AI literacy is a class. Did he go to a class? Did he learn it that way? His answer?
Yeah, so my sort of introduction to prompt engineering was trial and error when I was sort of beginning to explore the technology. There is no classes available at Yale or available, I would say, even any high school or college across the world just focused on AI literacy. But then as I sort of got more engaged in the work, I started looking online for resources, and I found empirically based resources and strategies to employ, such as giving the AI a persona, giving it really clear examples with one-shot or few-shot prompting, as well as some other.
Yeah, so there it is. Something to ponder as you think about your AI committee is, how are we modeling for our students AI literacy now, or improving prompting, or using it for notes? With that said, I'm going to share with you then a model that I did with 8th grade students in conjunction with a language arts class at the 8th grade level. That was certainly a fun process to go through, and again, shared in the slides is this process and some of the resources that we used. So if you're using AI with students, first thing to know is many of the AI companies, whether it's Bing or Gemini or ChatGPT, do not allow it for use under 18 years old. So you have to create a parent agreement if you're doing it with a class, let's say, of 8th graders. That's what we did. It also helps, I think, to start that dialogue with your learning community, with your parents, about here's how we're going to use AI in the school. If you have any questions as you sign off on this form, please let us know. Again, this example is in the slides. The process then was, once we had parent permission, it was asking the students to create a response to a writing prompt. It was a 3 to 5 paragraph creative writing response. That was step 1. Step 2, they took their response and fed it, at this time it was into ChatGPT. Step 3 was the revision process. They revised their writing based on what ChatGPT told it, just like I heard some great examples from around the room. And then they were graded on the reflective process. Okay, did ChatGPT help improve the writing or not? What do you think? And then, of course, they had to cite their resources. Here's the prompt. I'm not going to read it. I'll ask you if you're interested. This is the prompt that they got for the creative writing piece in the class under teacher observation, having nothing to do with AI. This is what they needed to create. Okay. 8th grade creative writing. Students created a written response to that, 3 to 5 paragraphs. They then took it and put it into ChatGPT. This is the prompt that they used for ChatGPT. I might even re-engineer this a little bit. This was a few months ago. Okay. They got the response from ChatGPT, and this is what I think is so insightful. I'm going to give you 3 examples of the student voice. It's in the box on the next 3 slides. Can you read that? Is that large enough? Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on a second. See if I can make that a little. Thank you for that. Good idea. I know, right? Thank you. I'm not sure if that helps or not. Oh, maybe. A little better? Yeah, let me try it in slideshow view. Let's see if that makes it any better. I just can't make it bigger here. How about I'll summarize and read the important parts of that. How's that? ChatGPT made a lot of changes throughout my story. 2 major changes. You'll hear students talk a lot about how it improved it with grammar, so that was one. I instantly spotted punctuation more professional, like dashes, which I've never used in my own writing. Another thing I noticed was it brought up a family specialty in their hot chocolate, but never added what made it so special. ChatGPT added that kind of background. ChatGPT also added words I've never seen, like swiftly, slender, amidst, distraught, subtly, merely. Talk about increasing your vocabulary. I think that ChatGPT made these changes to make my writing piece sound more professional and formal, so the story could be put together. In summary, ChatGPT made my story way better, in my opinion, for many reasons. Okay, that was student response number 1. Number 2, one thing that ChatGPT changed was the description of the writing. When I was reading over my essay, I saw that the bot improved the writing overall. I also noticed that the bot changed the punctuation of the story. It added exclamation marks in places that needed some. It also used punctuation that I didn't know I needed in my answer. How many of us have used it that way, like Grammarly, for example? I use a lot for those reasons. Oh, the room agrees. I feel that the bot made those changes in order to improve my writing. I also felt that those errors could have made my writing worse. Okay, I'm going to skip to the third one because I think this one's most insightful. So about 80% of the students in this class thought that ChatGPT improved their writing and gave good reflective responses, which they were graded at. This one, I'm going to read the second paragraph. I think it made those changes to make the story way better, and also it made it look like a professional writer wrote it. It made the reader more interested in my story because it was so much more descriptive. I thought the changes were really good, but the overall writing piece did not sound like me when ChatGPT finished. It had my thoughts, but it was not written like I write. What a great insight, though, from the student, right? These are the kinds of discussions that I'd like to have about improving student writing. And again, I give these to you as examples that you can take back to your district. So what Larry and I would like to leave you with before lunch is a question or maybe a statement. If ChatGPT-4, I use Bing, by the way, I don't use ChatGPT. Bing, which is free, gives you ChatGPT-4 for free, if that's an insight for some of you. So I use Bing, which is otherwise known as Copilot for free, which generates both text and image response. Right now in the district I work in, Bing is there for free for all the teachers to use. And we have those discussions about AI use also. So if Bing sets a new baseline standard for all written work, such as ELA, for both students and employees, and given that a majority of our students and employees cannot easily meet a baseline standard, should we be integrating these tools across K through 12 curricula? That might be a discussion that we can continue through lunch. Do you want to give this quote, Larry?
Go ahead, do that.
AI is a mirror and will reflect exactly who we are, from the best of us to the worst of us. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Are there any questions? We know that this has been a very full day and you're all hungry and have been sitting for a long time. But are there any questions for Larry and Barry?
Oh, thank you. Yes, access. Thank you for that. Yep, there it is. Oh, it's really small. Let me make that larger. I apologize about that. But it's a bit.ly link to the slide, and thank you for that. This I should be able to do.
Yeah, and just a final comment or two. When you have your AI research committee, include students. They're
Yes.
using AI as natives, and they'll have insights that will really help you in your determinations. And just remember, we're talking about generative AI here, not artificial general intelligence. This is just the tip of the iceberg. ChatGPT and Bing won't pass the Turing test. It's not, intelligent in its own way. It's what they call narrow AI, not strong AI. So there's a lot more coming down the road, and just, we recommend that you have your committee and that you stay on top of the developments.
Someone give me a little positive reinforcement. Is the link working? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I see people stretching. Thank you for that, too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.